Hello and welcome back to another episode of Sexology Podcast. I am so excited and honored to welcome Dr. Albert Wong to our show. Dr. Albert, welcome to our show.
Oh, it's so great to be with you. It's a delight to see you and reconnect.
Sometimes when we are in a long-term relationship, that could be challenging. I had a listener that emailed me and said, like, I'm with my wife 20 years ago. She's horrible with doing blowjob.
Oh,
But
oh,
back then I didn't think it would go anywhere. And I was like, honey, this is great. So that's instead we're having the
mm,
same kind of experience and I don't know
mm,
what to do right now. And I know
mm.
that's like a rare example, but sometimes giving feedback to our partner,
Yeah.
especially someone that we really care for, it's difficult.
Mhm. Yeah.
What would that be like? How can we be giving people compassionate feedback?
Yeah.
I guess so.
It's super hard and super. Yeah. No, no, no. I thought what a great kind of story from your listener. And, I think there's a number of things, right? Just the art, feedback, giving feedback is a whole art in and of itself. I guess one of the first things I would say is timing, right? So, kind of making sure that the person feels kind of loved enough, supported enough, safe enough in your ongoing connection that they're able to potentially take it in. It's really vulnerable, right? Just, one, to give feedback, but also to receive feedback about something that's so, I don't know, like tender and intimate and just feels core to who our being. We feel like when we're getting feedback, it's like, I must be awful, or, just floods of shame can really kind of just take over, right? So, just being thoughtful about timing and yeah, just making sure that they feel safe enough. There's also the whole kind of sharing your intentions first, like saying, I'm sharing this because I care about you and I want us to deepen our connection, right? And that's the intention behind it. And so, because I love you and I want us to grow together, right? Rather than like, well, you're not doing, whatever, right? So it's like sharing the intention. And sometimes first truths first, right? Like, because probably for the person who's giving feedback, it's a little bit nervous or kind of scary too. So even just saying, there's something I want to share with you. I'm a little bit scared or nervous because, I want us to be good, right? And because you're important. So even just sharing your own first truth, right? I think can be important, and being vulnerable yourself as you share. And the part of you, instead of like sharing almost like a kind of like demanding customer at a restaurant, right? It's like waiter, like this, it's like speak from your own vulnerability, right? From your own, like, and it could be even the longing or the sadness or the desire to feel closer or more connected, right? Like, and share from that point, right? There's that old riddle. I don't know if you've heard this before. Now it's like, how do porcupines hug?
No, what is that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, porcupines hug. They hug by turning their bellies, their soft belly, their noses up, and their bellies, soft bellies, towards each
Oh.
other, and then they can hug that way, right? And so, like, sometimes when we're giving feedback, it can feel a little bit like the porcupine spike, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
but but if we share from our own soft belly, like, it's like, honey, I love you and I feel so much care for you. And, there's this deep longing that I have for even more connection. I feel some sadness, right? Because I want us to feel super solid and good because you're important, right? That's a more soft belly kind of share. And that enables the person to hear it, right? There's this phrase, to speak into the listening of the other, right? So to speak into their ability to hear or to listen. And so kind of sharing from kind of vulnerability, first truths first. Sometimes the whole sandwich methodology, like saying like some nice things at the, some genuinely like appreciative things at the outset, and then kind of delivering the feedback, and then kind of reaffirming the nice or the things that are appreciated can be really valuable. I think Gottman talks about a 5-to-1 ratio sometimes. So, having that kind of ratio. And then, just in terms of the actual practicalities of feedback. So I think sometimes there's a tendency is like, oh, okay, sometimes taking whatever like negative energy or judgment that we have out of the feedback. It's like, ugh, like why do like some, it's like being and just making an observation with as neutrally kind of valence as possible. Like, okay, so when you place your hand here, right, is very different from when you place your hand there, right? There's an edge of judgment, right? Okay, but or and then leading from kind of just kind of the vulnerable feelings, right? Whatever they might be. I feel kind of maybe some discomfort or kind of some longing and some sadness and a wish, right? For kind of maybe you to move your hand over here. Okay, and so sometimes that can be supportive. Sometimes you also want your requests to be as specific as possible, right? Kind of so specific and actionable. So sometimes it could be, could you go faster, please? Right? Kind of, I think just making a distinction between a request versus a demand, right? It's just like, okay, a request is like, okay, this is something that I'd like. And if you don't, that's okay. I'd prefer if you do, but if you don't, it's okay also. And I still care about you. A demand is like, do it this way or else, right? Okay. And sometimes when we offer feedback, it sounds more like a demand than a request. Do it this way, or and the person is left feeling, oh, okay, well, you better do it or else, and that actually kind of constricts their life energy. It kind of makes them feel, I don't know, more tentative and fearful of doing it wrong, and it also separates them from their own native intuitive sense, and it disconnects them with you actually ultimately. Okay, because they're acting out of fear rather than out of intuitive reciprocal connectedness. Okay, so kind of making sure that when you are with them, that your kind of requests are requests, not demands, and that they're specific. So it could be, okay, faster, please. Okay, and sometimes the truth is the person, typically, if the request is delivered with enough kind of just neutrality and kind of connectedness, and their nervous system feels safe enough to kind of modulate in response to that, at least there will be a positive effort or intent to meet the request. And sometimes their version of faster or higher or lower, please, just doesn't work, right? And so just the art of, with neutrality, repeating the request, like, okay, to the left, please, or to the right, or whatever that might be, right? And almost as if it's beginner's mind again, right? Not like, I told you, right, this, do it, right? It's just like, they, and just kind of the art of requests without judgment. Yeah. So I think those are some of the things about making requests, kind of neutral observations, speaking with right timing, speaking with vulnerability, being specific, making requests not demands, and being willing to just kind of repeat a request if it's still not met, and just noticing that and being okay with that, right? And I think that goes a long way. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that and for all of those great information and examples and giving us specific instructions in a way, like on how to do it. Because no one have a kind of like, for many of our clients, at least I can talk about my clients, and no one gave them the opportunity to improve kind of like conflict resolution skills, right? Like you either avoid it, or you're like, you wait until things are really bad and you might be kind of like aggressive in a way, and that doesn't work in a relationship, because you care about the person, and it's helpful if you have exciting sexual experiences. And I think one thing that you mentioned that was very important, being okay with hearing no, right? It could be nothing wrong with you as a person, but like if my husband want to go to Italian restaurant, for example, tonight, I might not want to do Italian, although he could ask the best possible way and show me the pictures from Yelp. I still might not want to do Italian. And there's nothing wrong with my husband or Italian food. I just don't want to have it. So I think it's important to think about it that way as well.